Hello everybody and welcome to another Beyond All Reason video. Today we have one of the one of the qualifiers for the Bar Pro League. In Group B we have Mr. Kuchy in red playing as Cortex today, and his opponent is the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. rAndy in blue, playing as Cortex as well today. And we are on the map Hades Ponds. We've seen this map a few times on the channel, and although not as many as we'd like, normally we actually see some very different start positions as to what we're seeing here from Mr. Andy. Normally the map is very much mirrored across like this, with players spawning in the corners, like similar to Kuchy, and then the fight would happen diagonal across the map. However, rAndy has actually chosen to spawn in the top right hand corner here, and that is going to very much change the dynamic of this map. Normally the fighting takes place over these central hills, and then these kind of side hills get left alone a little bit, even though they're pretty good. But we're actually seeing Andy take a very northern position start here, and it'll be interesting to see how long it's going to take Kuchy to find him. As you can see straight away, look, going down here, and yet nothing will be spotted for a little while. This is going to give Andy a bit of an advantage here. This also might throw Kuchy in the loop a bit. Oh, although the luck of this scout actually going past will actually spot Andy. So advantage already lost when it comes to Andy's position choice there. Luckily enough that this radar was high enough up on that hill that the scout could not shoot it. This scout does manage to get in, but with the grunts already ready to rock, no mexes will probably be able to get captured here. That one does manage to get delayed in building though. Meanwhile, as we look here at Kuchy's base, you can see Kuchy's already moved over to the next triple mech spot, which does put him a little bit ahead of Mr. Andy here, who has only just started capping this triple mech point here. He has had to go bots for the ability to get up on this hill here to cap these mexes. Whereas, yeah, as you notice, Kuchy has actually gone vehicles. Now that is going to enable Kuchy to cross the map a lot quicker. Vehicles have a lot more speed, and that will be pretty decisive when trying to get some flank damage, and also to, you know, just harass any sort of expansion. But I feel like Andy might be planning to go for an early game victory here, rather than letting it drag on too much, where the vehicle's strengths are going to be able to show themselves. We also see here Andy choosing to go quite heavily into Tidal with his commander here. As you can see, Tidal strength is 15, so it does make sense. Andy getting a very good bit of harass here. 3 metal points destroyed and under windmill. Will not be able to get another one, unfortunately, but that's a lot of damage to be done in this early stage. It's going to put Kuchy behind, having to move his commander to deal with that. This grunt along the north here, unfortunately, will get surrounded very easily by these incisors. Yep, and there we go, nothing to worry about. I was about to say, there's a very smart play putting him up there, because Kuchy wouldn't actually be able to kill him. But instantly, you could just see Andy slowly expanding here. Slowly pushing forward, building an armed exploiter here. That will be pretty efficient at defending. Also, when you look at the sheer quantity of grunts Andy has out right now, it's just right here, it's 13. Incisors are more expensive, so you can see there's 4 there, 3 at the bottom. But they can quite oftenly kill 2 grunts for a single incisor. The issue is if an incisor gets surrounded and you get flanking damage on them, then that's when you start running into problems. But both players building armed metal extractors. You can see Kuchy's plan here to build the armed exploiters here just to help defend those flanks a little bit. But the biggest difference is the tidal generation. Andy building a lot of tidal generators, whereas Kuchy deciding to go for basically wind generators. His energy is not too great right now. He's trying to sort that out, building some additional windmills. But vehicles are more metal expensive rather than energy expensive. So that is kind of one of the reasons why Andy has to build more energy. However, saying that, it does look like a transition over to vehicles is planned here as well. It's a very early vehicle transition. We're 6 minutes in. To be fair, he's gotten his high ground mexes, which is what he wanted from his bot lab. But now having to defend rAndy in a strange position here. This is actually quite a lot of incisors coming out. 15 incisors versus 16 grunts. This may be a poorly timed vehicle transition, which may cost Andy dearly. Also, his commander now in a bit of a precarious situation if these incisors roll up. Trying to make sure we get a good overall picture here. The incisors coming in. LLT is there to defend, but here comes the main fight. This is going to be a pretty much make it or break it fight to a degree. This is going to be a lot of metal left in the base. That very well-timed powder. A lot of impulse attack on that, and that is going to get mopped up very efficiently by Mr. Andy here. See, this one incisor is the only one that's left. More a little behind it. This will do some damage though, so he's not really got anything to catch this. Everything's the same speed. So that was a fair amount of damage. Not quite enough to warrant, you know, winning over. But there we go, finally mopped up. But how much metal is left there? 1.4k metal. That is a tremendous amount of metal to be leaving in your opponent's base. And realistically, he managed to kill 2 construction turrets, 1, 2, 3 metal extractors for 1.5k metal. That is nowhere near it. See these incisors now for Kuchy trying to find an open hole. This armed metal extractor will be able to deal with a couple of incisors fairly effectively. Meanwhile, Kuchy has switched over here to brutes instead of incisors. But still limited on power, Kuchy, right now. He is building some tidals in the water, you can see. Surprisingly going over that metal point with energy production as well. Meanwhile, Andy probably needs to get this metal as quick as he can. Yeah, there you go. He's actually deciding to resurrect. At this point in time, you can see here army value very much like equal. So this may be a good call. Slight problem here though for Andy is this pounder is not going to be very efficient versus all these brutes. But the build power from the construction bots there, able to keep that brute at full health. Very, very good bit of control there from Andy. And here we see flanking damage in action as that one brute takes tremendous amounts of damage from these incisors just for surrounding it. But now this is where it becomes a problem for Kuchy. All of these units in base being resurrected, and the army value is going to change significantly. You can already see that now. 70% difference in army value. Just a huge amount of difference. And the longer Kuchy allows all these wrecks to be left in the base, that even more it's going to tip in Andy's favor. Meanwhile, you can see that Kuchy has a economy advantage right now, but when it comes to build power, massively in Andy's favor. And currently, metal produced and energy produced is also in the favor of Mr. Andy. And does this look like this is going to be the final push? No. Andy deciding to hold back. There's a little scout force here going around the bottom side here. Its plan is to probably just cause some problems. However, Kuchy should have seen that. And you can see Kuchy is sending units across to try and deal with that. So the plan right now for Andy is just kind of spread your opponent's forces thin, right? He's sending these individual grunts around to just try and cause some problems. And same over here. And you can also see he's sent forces up the north side here as well. And in the middle. Forcing your opponent to react to multiple locations at once. Limits how many forces he can send to any one location. And this is just applying massive amounts of pressure to Kuchy. See, he's pushed through on the bottom. In the middle, he's starting to make a dent, but unfortunately not as quick as he would hope. Kuchy's commander not in a position to assist in defending his own base. But this is a lot of APM to be used by Andy here, microing 3 different armies at the same time. But huge economy damage being dealt by rAndy here as loads and loads of windmills get destroyed. If it wasn't for the fact that Kuchy just invested a lot into naval energy, that would be a very significant problem. But you can see here that Kuchy's energy is perfectly fine and Kuchy's comm is moving back out onto land. But all of the expansion mexes of Kuchy have been pretty much destroyed at this point. Only these armed metal extractors on the hill remain. This force on the north will get taken out very quickly. And 2 fights kind of taking place here. These clearing up of the metal extractors and this kind of force here that was just trying to delay this army. Fortunately, I'm not sure how much of this army here is going to survive of Andy's. Surprisingly quite a lot when you think about it. And it does seem like Kuchy is trying to follow this army, but it's not really going to do too much when you kind of need to be worried about this army outside your opponent's base. And the res bots as well, just they're ready to resurrect everything. Kuchy unable to secure any of the destruction basically. And that is just giving your opponent more and more wrecks to resurrect. Now, Kuchy attempting here to kind of try and set his own narrative here, forcing Andy to react to him instead. However, he did just roll his tank force directly into his, well, in Andy's tank force. And he was massively outnumbered there. You can see how somewhat underwhelming these armed metal extractors were. Those 3 armed metal, 3 incisors almost killed this exploiter. They'd been positioned in a way where they came from the bottom and the top with flanking damage, those 3 incisors would have quite easily killed that exploiter. Meanwhile, Andy doing a great job at just splitting off a few forces and just slowly whittling away any sort of expansion. And as we zoom out on the map here, you'll be able to see the difference here in control. Andy basically in control of everything that half of the map. Very, very much in a very strong position here. Kuchy, unfortunately, that first push had to win, and unfortunately it was not able to, and with the resurrected forces here, Andy was massively able to force Kuchy back. And Kuchy's just not got the production here to be able to keep up with all of these units. He has surprisingly transitioned to air, which makes me think he's going for a Hail Mary victory here. Oh. Surprisingly, no. He's going EMP. Which, don't get me wrong, the Shurikens are gonna do a fairly decent job, but they're only going to still need, you know, damage to kill the things that are EMP'd. Otherwise, they just stay EMP'd. And as you can see here, he's getting attacks from literally every direction here. And now Kuchy's forced to rebuild the vehicle factory, but it's too late, as Kuchy calls the GG, and round 1 goes to Andy. And here we are, round 2, Kuchy versus Andy. Now, interesting choice of map here with Mariposa Island, if that's how you pronounce it. Mariposa, I'm guessing. Often used as a 3v3 map, or even a 5v5 team map here, as we see spawn positions being circled for you right now. And you could also technically play it as like a 6-player map, with maybe someone being on this rear island, maybe going air or naval, or even more, 8-player map with people on these spots for naval starts. So very, very large map for a 1v1. And in a team game, what you would normally see is players going naval either side, players kind of fighting over each of these high grounds, with occasionally someone trying to defend these left flanks. But most of the attacking tends to take place in the naval lanes and up on these high ridges in the middle. Now, when it comes to 1v1, it's going to be more difficult to say as to what's going to go on here. These metal points in the middle, being 3.7, are quite important, which is why you tend to see fighting take place a lot over these locations. Also, there's geos there, which if you are Cortex and it goes to Tech 2, you could build Cerberuses in those locations and would do a very good job at defending. Not only that, but with these being high grounds, positioning plasma-based units along these ridges will give you significant range, and means that it will make it even harder for your opponent to get to you and get up these hills. Now, will we expect to get that far in 1v1s? Who knows? But Kuchy has everything to play for now. He needs to win this game. Otherwise, Andy will be victorious. But another thing of note here is you can see there are small chunks of rocks in the forest. And it seems that both players have done the smart choice here of choosing to start bots to get as much of that reclaim as possible. Now, you may say that, oh, you know, 140 metal isn't a lot. And you'd be right, 140 metal isn't a lot. But when that would be, you know, the equivalent of the metal for 3 windmills, at an early stage, that is significant. Also, that is the cost of just below 1 solar. And as you can see here, Kuchy, who has already built 5 solars, that's 1 solar completely for free. So it ends up adding up over time, and the compounding metal you save from doing that will help you expand a lot quicker. Now, surprisingly, Andy deciding to push sideways with his commander here. We can actually see Kuchy is doing the same thing. The reason for that is more likely due to the commander's higher build power. He will be able to get these metal points capped off a lot quicker than a standard unit would, or a standard construction bot. Unfortunately, we are going to see some early harass here. Kuchy getting a single metal extractor for his troubles. There is a construction bot very close by, though, ready to do it. And actually, the res bot will just resurrect the metal extractor and will do a good job at that as well. Kuchy, though, not being harassed at all by Andy. And Kuchy doing a very smart play here. You can see Kuchy deciding to offset his metal extractors. You can see where the spot is actually here, but he's chosen to place it more closer to the middle. And then he's managed to build a laser tower in the center. This is a very common tactic, but if you're new to Beyond All Reason, you don't have to place them exactly on the point. You can place it to the side, as you're seeing here, and that's going to make this LLT even more effective, because units are going to have to get a lot closer in order to fire at it. Now, unfortunately for Kuchy, Andy has already spread out a lot more quicker than Kuchy here. You can see when it comes to metal a second and energy a second, very, very strongly in Andy's favor right now. Some very early attacks here from Andy, but not really anything that's going to be a bit of a problem. Surprisingly, these guys managed to make it through, but with Kuchy's comm right there, they're not really going to be able to do too much. But when we zoom out, you can see the difference in expansion rate. Andy with his engineers are already at this part, which the mirroring would be there for Kuchy. However, Kuchy is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 metal points behind when it comes to that expansion, and he has just lost another one of those metal points and the construction bot that was pushing it. Like that 2 extraction point. So very, very far behind on that front. All for the cost of, 2 grunts there. That was a very, very efficient trade. Whereas Andy here is moving up onto this high ground now, being completely uncontested. And it seems after the loss that Kuchy faced last round, where he was, went very heavy into an attack, and because of that, a lot of reclaim was left behind. Kuchy being a lot more hesitant now, but Kuchy can't be too hesitant and just concentrate on defending here, because otherwise Andy's going to be able to just roll away economy-wise. And we do see a transition over to vehicles here. Now that's somewhat surprising, because when we select transversability, you can see they are able to move up the hill here. But anything more than incisors, like full-on tanks, may struggle to get up this hill quickly. Now, that's not a problem if Andy owns the hill and the high ground already. Good push through here from Kuchy. Able to get a single expansion engineer. Surprisingly enough, though, Andy deciding to go for a C-Lab here. His plan maybe just to get a couple of these construction ships to cap off all of these C-Mexes and then reclaim the factory. This will enable him to get a lot more metal than was planned before from just land. You can see here Grunt's starting to have a problem. Kuchy grouping his units up in a ball here by accident. And that has enabled a lot of damage to be inflicted by these incisors. And look at the sheer number of incisors now coming over this hill in the middle. Total of 16 of them. 14 grunts for Kuchy. That is not a favorable trade. And Kuchy also not microing them And unfortunately, because of a slight miscalculation there, Kuchy in a very, very dangerous position as this force just steamrolls right towards Andy. Sorry, right towards Kuchy's base. And unfortunately, this might be a complete base wipe here for Kuchy. I believe that's going to be the case. Kuchy's commander nowhere to be seen. Very much in the middle. These construction turrets are attempting to reclaim any units to get close enough, but just look at the sheer amount of damage. Kuchy's commander trying to go into the middle on the mini-map here just to kind of stem some of this tide, but just a swathe of incisors pushing through here. And Kuchy in a massive, massive trouble here. Desperately trying to stem the tide with his commander building laser towers, but he has nothing. And all of these forces right here. Kuchy's commander now surrounded from both sides as the incisors come in. Kuchy with no energy. And just look how quickly that commander goes. And Kuchy loses the game. Andy victorious once again. Hope you all liked these special Bar Pro League games for you. Unfortunately, the Pro League has finished this season. But if you're interested in playing 1v1s, it is a free tournament to enter. There is a Bar Pro League Discord that you can join. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you like this sort of bar content. And thank you all for watching. And I'll see you guys next time.